God, Nick's here.
Guys, listen, I've been through this before a year or two with the former host of this.
Yeah.
It was just me and someone running the board, and it was a disaster.
Oh, I have full trust in you, Mark. Hey, really fast before we get into, because we're doing a ton of fantasy football talk today. It's obviously the first week of the playoffs in most league formats. But before we get going, someone in this room is having a birthday today.
I was hoping
today.
Boy.
It's today.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Who is it?
It's not me.
It's not me.
It's not you. It's Mark Graham, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
Mark Graham. Happy birthday, bud.
Thank you very much. 51 and going downhill real quick.
Real quick. Be that as it may, you're still alive in the world of fantasy football.
Yes.
So,
wait. Now, are you insinuating that Mark is close to death?
Well, I'm just saying, fantasy football things are looking up.
When you get to
Mark's age,
when you get to 51, you are close to death. No, I think one reason Am's not here is because he's already down 27-0 in our heads up in the one league, and I think that's bummed him out. He played the defense and got 0 points. I played Chris Johnson 27.9. I got a nice head start.
Yeah, beautiful. Chris Johnson had a nice game. Of course,
time.
Yeah, of course, there was that game Thursday night, so hopefully if you had Chris Johnson on your team, you had him in your lineup, which I don't know why you wouldn't.
Yeah.
But he had a really nice game. But I had Jacob Tammy in my lineup, and we'll do the thing that Adam likes to do. We'll go and see how everyone is doing in our respective leagues. But, boy, Jacob Tammy, is there a guy that went from, remember he was such a high pick from the waiver wire a few weeks ago, but these last few weeks, Mark, I don't know if you've been paying attention.
I think they've worn his poor backside out. They passed to him, and he's been taking some hits, and he's become basically Peyton's security blanket with Clark out. I think he's just kind of beat up.
Yeah, well, these last couple of weeks, he hasn't really been that security blanket, though. It's like he's not looking his way as much as he was. But, Nick, how are you doing in your fantasy leagues?
Well, one of them I told Mark earlier is not happy with Pierre Garçon because he burned me all year. And I said, yeah, he's not going to do anything tonight.
Oh, you had him on the bench?
And so I left him on the bench.
I know. It's not funny. I'm sorry. I know what it's like, though.
Yeah, it's fine. I just want to puke. That's fine. That's fine.
As a added bonus today, I've got someone calling in, Jim Day, who Twitter people know as Fantasy Taz. Also was on like 50 different radio blog talk shows. By the way, I'll be on his Twitter Fantasy Roundtable tonight. Fake shameless plug.
Nice work.
Yeah. And he also has his website, fantasyfootballwiz.com, and he lives on the East Coast, and I figured, if he can call in, he can give us a little more insight on the Giant situation and maybe anything that's going on out there. So
he's here, baby.
He's there.
We have him online now.
Excellent.
Well, let's talk about our leagues later then. Let's go to Jim Day right now.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on. And I do want to say happy birthday to Mark.
No, this is never going to end. This is just going to be a nightmare all day,
65
Jim.
years old.
Wait a minute. Jim, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for letting me call in.
Hey, I appreciate it. I know you've got, information on the East Coast. You could probably help us out here in the Midwest. A lot of us are wondering what can we expect out of the Giant wide receiver situation, and I figured you'd be the man to ask.
Well, I appreciate that. Right now, all signs are pointing to both Nix and Smith being able to play. But Smith is going to have a harness on his shoulder. It's going to limit his, ability to reach for balls. So as long as Eli can get it, to him in a central type fashion, I don't see him having any problem catching him. The bigger problem with Smith is you're going to have to worry about snap counts, whether or not he's going to be on a limited snap count, because he has been very limited even in practice. So he's a little bit of an iffy guy. He's a lower tier wide receiver 3 for me this week. Nix, right now, every sign is pointing to Nix playing, not really being all that limited. He's practiced for the last 3 days. And if he goes, I'm not going to say he's fully worthy of a wide receiver 1, but he's definitely a wide receiver 2 range for me this week, and he's definitely starting on my fantasy teams.
Well, Jim, that's great. I mean, because, a few weeks ago it was told basically we wouldn't see him till maybe week 15 or so, but he's not on any kind of limited snap count at all then.
Not what we're hearing. Right now we're hearing if he's going, then he's going to be out there playing for the full game.
Is there anything on the Jet front that is newsworthy fantasy-wise this week?
Well, not so much. Really, what we're going to have to find out this week is what kind of team is this? I mean, they went into New England last week and got blown out. We all know it. We've all seen it, and it is what it is. But now we get to see what the real team is because, teams get blown out from time to time. It's still only one game. They're still very much in the hunt. We have to see what kind of team they are by the rebound this week. Unfortunately, they have a tough matchup this week. They're going against a Miami defense that's been playing very strong of late, and they're really going to have to step their game up. And, I'm not having a lot of faith right now in Mark Sanchez in this matchup because Miami's been really tough on quarterbacks, especially over the last month.
Jim, I know Eric has a question. I've got to ask you one thing.
I've got a couple.
How many? First of all, how many leagues did you make? The listeners are going to die when they hear this. How many leagues did you make the playoffs in?
77% of my league, so it was 49 out of the 63.
Oh, man, I'm telling you what, you're my hero.
Oh, my gosh.
It was a pretty decent year for me. I had 3 13-0 teams going into the playoffs. I got 17 first week bye, so it was a pretty strong year.
Oh, my goodness, Eric, Go ahead. I want to recover.
I don't know if I can now. Jim, my questions, I actually have a couple, and they're more along the lines of the running back situations on both of the New York teams. Now, early in the season, LaDainian Tomlinson for the Jets was the guy you wanted to plug in. Lately, Sean Green has been getting a few more carries. Which one of those guys from the Jets would you rather have, in your starting lineup, if either?
I'd rather still, if it's a PPR league, let's define it that way. I'd much rather still have LaDainian Tomlinson. Sean Green just doesn't catch a lot of passes. But neither of these guys are strong plays. Miami's only given up 3 touchdowns to running backs in their last 5 games, but they have given up, over 650 yards in those games. So they can get yardage. But the big play is going to, be to get LaDainian out in the flat, give him a short pass, screens, and that's how he's going to score his points because they're not going to be able to drive up the middle against that defense.
Right on. Okay, well, now shifting over to the Giants, because there's been kind of a situation with the running backs there where a few weeks ago Brandon Jacobs was named the starter, but then, last week I think Ahmad Bradshaw had a really nice week. So which one of those guys is the guy? As Ahmad Bradshaw got himself out of the doghouse for Tom Coughlin there?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Jacobs is named the starter. He's still tentatively named the starter, but he had 8 carries last week to Ahmad Bradshaw's 28.
Right.
So, I mean, the focus is still on Bradshaw. They're going to need Bradshaw to be the focus in this one because, again, they're going against, right now, the league's toughest run defense over the last 5-6 weeks. They haven't given up a single score to running back. So, again, they're going to need to be able to get Ahmad Bradshaw open in the flats, try to run that screen game that they run so well against this suddenly tough defensive line for Minnesota who didn't show up early in the year.
Yep. Jim, I'll tell you what, you're always full of great information. I appreciate you calling in, and I'm looking forward to tonight, the Twitter Fantasy Roundtable. It's always good, and it's always informative.
Hey, what time is that, and where can we find that?
Well, it's at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can find it. It's real easy to link. It's www.fsc.fm.
Awesome.
And if you're not sure, you can always follow me on Twitter at Fantasy Taz.
Fantasy Taz. The man has like 3,000 billion followers. So, Jim, again, I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you tonight, buddy.